Some artifacts in Borderlands 3 are worth using even at level 35 when you first unlock them, but we already talked about those. Let's talk about the artifacts that wouldn't be worth using even if they were your only option. Hey Vault Hunters, I'm Constant Canadian, and these are the worst artifacts in Borderlands 3. If you enjoy the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe as it really helps out the channel. And if you really enjoy the video, consider joining the membership program. 99 cents a month gets you a shoutout at the end of my videos, as well as these cute emotes and awesome sub badges. And for $4.99 a month, you get all that, plus early access to most of my videos. Starting off the list, we have the Grave. This legendary artifact is one of Graveward's 3 dedicated legendary drops, and can only drop from Graveward. The Grave grants bonuses based on how low your health is, granting 100% bonus melee damage at half health and lower, 20% weapon damage at 20% health and lower, and 15% splash damage at 5% health and lower. Now let's just take a close look at these buffs real quick. 100% melee damage at half health. Okay, that's a pretty decent buff even if you do need to be below health gate for it. 20% weapon damage, that's lower than the passive on another artifact could give you. Weird, but okay. Surely the 15% splash damage is more than any random passive stat could give, right? Oh. So then why on earth would I ever use this artifact? 2 of the 3 bonuses it deals are lower than the passives that any artifact can give you for a much higher risk. Speaking of passives, this is also one of the few artifacts in the game that can only spawn with a select number of passives, only being able to roll with cooldown rate, max health, fight for your life duration, and fight for your life movement speed. Quite possibly the worst set of passives possible. Combine that with the fact that this artifact also can't roll with a prefix, and you've got a recipe for one of the worst artifacts to ever touch the ground. Next up, we have the Mysterious Artifact. This purple unique artifact grants the wearer 2 special effects. The first special effect is the ability to see hidden iridium piles around the map. Notice the emphasis on the word see there? Well, that's because while you do need this artifact equipped to see these piles, you do not need the artifact equipped for these piles to spawn or break them and pick up their drops. Which means that this artifact is completely worthless if you just simply know the location of the piles with some sort of guide. Hell, you don't even need the Director's Cut DLC that this artifact is from for these piles to spawn. The second effect of this mysterious artifact is, on badass kill, there is a 5% chance to drop 12 iridium. A whopping 12 iridium, such a large amount. I mean, that's almost enough for 1/20th of an anointment reroll. Seriously, why on earth is this such a small amount of iridium with such a small percentage? You're telling me that if I kill 100 badasses with this artifact equipped, I'll get on average 60 iridium? Wow, thank you so much. Either their percentage for this stat should have been way higher, or the amount of iridium granted should have been higher. If this artifact had given a 100% chance for badasses to drop 12 iridium, or a 5% chance to drop 1,000 iridium, it would have been fine. Not good, but fine. Oh, and this artifact doesn't spawn with prefixes or passives, so that's cool too. Moving on now to the Lunacy. I'm willing to bet a large majority of you have never even heard of this artifact before, as it can only drop from the Empowered Gron in the Guns, Love, and Tentacles DLC. All this artifact really does is grant a 100% bonus to your shield capacity at the cost of increasing your recharge delay by 216%. Unlike with most other items on this list, I can at least see a use for this, as every character can use the Guardian rank perk Shield Reboot to bypass recharge delay entirely. This artifact, however, just doesn't do enough to be worthwhile. It almost feels like an attempt to give Moze an alternative artifact for the Deathless Bloodletter build, but one of the main advantages to that build is being at 1 health for the best bonus from Desperate Measures and the URAD anointment. The Lunacy also can't roll with a prefix either, which hurts it, and it can only roll with bonus area damage, cooldown rate, combat XP, move speed, health regen, and elemental resistance for its passives, which hurts it even further. If you watched my video about the best artifacts in Borderlands 3, you'll probably remember the Cut Purse Launchpad, which launches homing rockets that give the player back ammo. Now imagine that, but without the homing or the ammo regen. You now have the unique purple artifact, the Vendetta. This artifact on slam launches 7 rockets in a circle around the player. These rockets do an okay amount of damage, nothing to really write home about, but they do heal the player for 20% of the damage dealt. However, that is where the positives end for this artifact. This artifact is yet another unique artifact that cannot roll with a prefix and also cannot roll with any passive stats whatsoever. Almost like the developers genuinely thought that 20% lifesteal on crappy rockets with no homing was worth sacrificing the potential for far higher damage from even a non-unique blue artifact. The electric banjo was at one point one of my favorite artifacts, and it was pretty competitive with the other offerings at the time. This artifact would give any damage dealt by the player a 20% chance to chain lightning at a nearby enemy, dealing 25% bonus shock damage, essentially making any gun, grenade, melee, slam, or slide attack act the same way as the Brainstormer shotgun. Even without a prefix, this artifact could still do a lot of damage to larger groups of enemies. And I don't know for sure, but I think it did benefit from the projectile duplication glitch at the time as well. Unfortunately though, it deals shock damage, the least versatile element in the game, and couldn't keep up with the constantly changing endgame scaling at the time. The electric banjo also only drops from the psychobillies and can only roll with bonus shock damage, shock resistance, and electrocute chance for its passives, which certainly doesn't help. Next on the list, we've got the Cosmic Crater. This artifact, dropping from Artemis on Eden 6, causes your slam attack to leave a random elemental puddle at the impact of your slam for 5 seconds. This artifact isn't bad due to stupid decisions made by developers, as it can roll with every passive and every prefix. Rather, its special effect is just kind of bad. If you've ever played Mayhem mode with modifiers on, you've probably realized just how painfully annoying the Pool Party modifier that rains elemental puddles whenever you break a health bar can be, causing a whole bunch of visual pollution that is annoying to deal with. Now imagine that modifier, but in the form of an artifact. Whenever you slam, there will be a random elemental puddle that you'll be in the middle of. And as for damage, these puddles do almost no damage. The puddle deals around 60 to 200,000 damage per second, depending on the elemental weakness of the enemies. Which sounds like a lot until you do the math and realize that's at most 1 million damage per slam. Let's just take a look here and... ah yes, the most basic Malawan Trooper has just over 14 million health. So one slam deals around 7% of the most basic Malawan Trooper's health. And that's not even factoring in elemental resistances, or the fact that that 14 million HP is split between a shield and flesh bar. Thankfully, the Cosmic Crater puddles don't do self-damage, but still, you're better off with almost anything else. Now onto the Road Warrior. This artifact is awarded upon completion of the story mission Blood Drive. This purple unique artifact makes your slide attack launch saw blades in a straight line in the direction of your slide, at a rate of about 3 saw blades per second. While that's all fine and dandy, the damage of these saw blades is abysmal, dealing only around 50,000 damage per hit at Mayhem 11. This is also another one of the only artifacts that can't roll with the full set of passive stat boosts, only being able to roll with melee damage, move speed, and radiation resistance, and it also can't roll with a prefix, making this artifact always have the exact same bonuses no matter how many times you get it. And while in the case of the Hellwalker, that's a good thing, in the case of the Road Warrior, this is a very bad thing. This artifact has literally zero practical use, and if I had to guess, I would say it was probably just a proof of concept in the early stages of development that never got removed, because there's literally no use for it. Next on the list is the Safeguard artifact, dropping from Big Donnie, the Tink, not the turret. This artifact won't negatively affect you, it just won't be very helpful at all. The Safeguard on Slam reduces damage by up to 57% for 5 seconds. Now, if you've watched last week's video about ranking every Amara skill, then you know that damage reduction in Borderlands games is just not very good at all. And if you haven't watched that video yet, you should do so, I worked really hard on it. Anyway, at max level, in most heavy mobbing or bossing situations, the damage being dealt to the player is going to be upwards of hundreds of thousands or millions of damage per second, which means that even with a 57% damage reduction, you're still getting your entire health bar's worth of damage dealt per second. Pair that with the bonus only lasting 5 seconds and the likelihood of you being downed while trying to slam, and you have just an overall not very well thought out artifact. Quite possibly the stupidest thing about the Safeguard artifact is that there is not only a shield, but also an artifact prefix that makes the player fully immune to all damage for 5 seconds when meeting certain conditions. This means that you could realistically get better damage reduction without losing any damage with your artifact. Overall, the Safeguard is just a bad choice, no matter which way you cut it. Alright, now on to the really stupid ones, starting with the Loaded Dice. According to the in-game item card, the Loaded Dice substantially increases your luck while wearing it, at the cost of your max health being reduced by 75%. This certainly seems like a decent artifact, high risk, high reward sort of deal. Like I said though, that's according to the item card. In actual practice, the Loaded Dice reduces your maximum HP by 75%, grants the same bonuses as the auto idol, restoring 25% of your max health on kill, and increases your luck by, drumroll please, 0%. Yep, you heard that right. The whole concept of this artifact is a complete and utter sham, and not the good kind of sham either. This artifact is literally just an auto idol that reduces your max health by 75%. I mean, I know luck artifacts have been a meme in the Borderlands franchise for a bit now, but seriously, it does literally nothing for luck. On the bright side though, it can roll with a full set of passives and prefix, so I guess if you really just want lower health, then you won't lose too much damage from doing it. But the only real reason I could see for wanting this artifact is if you didn't want to farm the auto idol. But the odds for the drop are the exact same on normal mode, worse on Mayhem 4 and 5, and even worse on Mayhem 6 and up, meaning there is literally zero reason for this artifact to exist in-game. Before we get into the most useless artifact in Borderlands 3, it's time to look at our dishonorable mention, the Moxie's Endowment. This artifact does the exact same thing in this game that it did in Borderlands 2, increasing XP gained from combat by up to 14%. The problem with this artifact is also the same as it was in Borderlands 2. The XP boost just isn't high enough to warrant bothering with it. In Borderlands 3, the artifact drops from Tank Train, a farmable enemy in the Guts of Carnivora, which means unless you get really lucky and have it world drop, you have to actually take time to farm this thing. Time that would be far better spent farming XP. This artifact could have avoided this list if its bonus were higher, but 14% is just not worth it at all. Alright, it's time. The most infuriatingly, stupidly pointless artifact in Borderlands 3. A relic so stupid that its effects are made redundant by the end of the first story mode playthrough. The Phoenix Tears. This artifact makes it so that when the player comes out of Fight for Your Life mode, they come back with full HP. Oh, were you expecting something more? Well, I hate to burst your bubble, but that's it. That's all the Phoenix Tears artifact does. And you might be thinking right now, geez, that effect sounds super familiar, I wonder why. Well, that's because the Guardian rank perk Resilient does the exact same thing. But actually no, because Resilient makes you come back with full HP and shields, meaning that this level 15 Guardian rank perk, which can be unlocked before you've even reached max level, is better than a legendary artifact. Keep in mind that this artifact is an exclusive drop from Phoenix in the Splinterlands, meaning it takes up space in their loot pool for next to no reason. Seriously, who at Gearbox thought this artifact was any good or even deserving of a legendary tier? And I haven't even mentioned yet that the Phoenix Tears can't roll with a prefix and can only roll with 5 different passives, all of which are completely useless aside from the fire damage. I would literally rather have the Road Warrior artifact than this worthless piece of junk, and that's saying something. Alright, now that rant's out of the way, that's gonna wrap this video. Thank you all so much for watching, have a fantastic day.